this video is about some different kinds of 3/4 shimmies on the down. So first of all, when we're talking about 3/4 shimmies on the down, we are basing our movement on hips on the down. I'm going to move my camera down so you can see my feet. Feet are important for this. Okay, cool. That's a little bit better. So a hip on the down refers to a movement where you are stepping with the right, for instance, and also pushing that hip down as you step. So a super good drill to do is just walking hips on the down to build up to these 3/4 shimmies on the down. So when you step right, you're sending your right hip down. Left foot, left hip down. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. So there's two things that happen with hips on the down for me. I squeeze my opposite side oblique, so if I'm about to step left and send my left hip down, I'm actually also bringing my right hip up using my obliques. So my weight is on the left, my left hip is lower. Now I'm going to squeeze my left obliques to bring my left hip up. So now my right hip is lower, my weight is on the right. The other thing that's important is keeping your knees soft. So that when you step and you think about sending your hip down, you can actually bend a little bit extra into that knee. So not thinking about obliques, just thinking about your knee, step on the right and bend into that right knee a little bit extra. So you can practice thinking about bending your knee extra. And then when you're ready, also add in that opposite oblique squeeze. And that'll help you get a really nice, bigger hip on the down. Okay, so the way that I think of the different 3/4 shimmies on the down is one happens on the 1E and one happens on, headless instructor back there. One happens on the 1E and one happens on the and a 1. So if you think of your phrase of music with quarter notes, 1E and a, 1E and a. The first 3/4 shimmy we're going to talk about occupies the 1E and a, 1E and a. That was wrong. Those snaps were wrong. Ignore what I just said for the past 5 seconds. The shimmy happens on 1E and a 1. E and a 1, E and a 1. So on the and a 1. The E is a pause. Partially you'll be starting to shift your weight to get ready for the next and a 1. Okay, so on the ones, we're going to be stepping. We're also going to be sending our hip down, so it's a hip on the down on the numbers. 1E and a hip on the down and a hip on the down and a hip on the down. So that's the first little bit of timing, stepping and shifting your hip down on the 1. On the and we've got a drop and a lift. So that looks like this. I'm going to prepare by picking up my right foot, and I'm also going to squeeze my right obliques. Imagine that you've just done a hip on the down on the left. So without setting my foot down, I'm going to drop, lift. That's using my obliques and a little bit of help from my left leg. That was and a. Now I'm going to step 1, and that's another down. Now we're set up exactly opposite. So left obliques are squeezed, left foot in the air, you're walking in super slow motion. And a 1. 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 And a step right. And a step left. And a step right. And a step left. do yourself a favor, and as soon as you start practicing this, when you take your step on the 1, get that other foot up off the ground immediately. So you're really shifting 100% of your weight. When you're doing this really slow, that can be a balance challenge. So walk along holding onto your desk or dresser or bookcase or whatever, if that's helpful. But you want to get that in your muscle memory that you're totally off of that foot. And 1, other foot's totally up, yeah? So I think you can see that if I face this way and scooch up. Right hip is up. And 1, left foot comes up. And 2, right foot comes up immediately. And 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, and 2. One thing you can do as another like supplemental drill for this movement, if it feels a little awkward, take the steps out of it entirely and just get your hips used to this pattern where you're thinking down and down, down and down, and 1, and 2. So no feet, no weight shift, and 1, and 2, right and right, left and left, right and right, left and left, down and down, down and down, down and down. So getting that feeling super comfortable may help when you try to add your weight shift. So that movement is called the Hagallah, and usually it's performed with a little bit of a twist. So we're going to take out the and we're just going to do a hip on the down on the 1. 1, 1, 1. When we do that hip on the down, in addition to going down, we're going to twist forward a little bit. Starting on the right, or your left if you're mirroring me. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, twist and down, twist and down, twist and down, twist and down, 1, 1, 1, 1. Once you get comfortable with adding in the twist, you can try adding back in the and. So now we're going to go and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Same move, down and down, down and down. We're just adding in that twist. Down and twist. Down and twist. So let's try walking forward and walking back. Walking back while twisting forward can feel a little weird. Take super teeny tiny steps. So walking forward, starting on the right. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. Go back. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. All right, so hopefully all of that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if you have questions. And the other shimmy that we're going to talk about shares the down, but the timing is different. So it ends up looking very different. Oh, I wanted to mention a variation of the Hagallah shimmy is called the samiha. And I've had this taught to me lots of different ways. So I'm going to teach you the way I've heard most often. But this is a case where people saw a move happening in its home environment. So dancers in the Middle East, you know, like having parties with family, with friends or whatever, would do this move. And various people tried to figure out like how to talk about the move, like what's actually happening, what's the timing, da da da. So different people ended up with slightly different interpretations. And they're all probably correct, yeah? So the Hagallah, if you do it at an angle, is called the samiha. So instead of traveling, or instead of facing forward, I'm gonna face the side. Same exact move. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So I'm twisting, and now it looks like I'm kind of closed off to the audience. And 1, can't really see my front, right? And now you will be able to. And 2, so now you can see my front. Same exact movement, twisting, hips on the down, same timing. One common little added difference is that the move, the way we were just doing it on the 2 and the 4, gets a little extra oomph. So let's talk about what's happening on the 2 and the 4. And 1, and 2. So 2 is when I'm stepping right now with my back foot, and I'm open to the audience. Same thing happens on 4, and 3, and 4. So when you have that moment with your hip on the down, back leg, and you're open to the audience, you can use your back leg, if you don't step all the way off of it right away, you can use it to give you a little extra oomph. I use my glute muscles and also just the skeletal structure of my leg. I go up to releve, and my knee is really straight, so my leg is long as it gets anyway, me with my short legs. And so it's pushing that back, your front hip way up. And 1, and 2. See that extra oomph. And 3, and 4. Right? So that's the samiha. You can play with different variations. You'll see some people just put a little extra emphasis using glutes or obliques or legs in different places depending on the music that they're dancing to. I'm gonna look and see if I can find a good samiha moment in a performance. I bet I can find one somewhere in the vast world of YouTube. So Hagallah, Hagallah usually, and samiha, Samiha. Okay, so changing gears a little bit, we're gonna stay with the down. So when we step, we're still doing our hip on the down, but we're gonna change to doing a 1E and shimmy. 1E and. So now the is your pause or your weight shift. So 1E and, 2E and. Still stepping on the 1 or the 2, however I happen to count. So instead of having a little drop that's kind of a wind up where your leg is in the air and 1, we're gonna step first. 1E and. So another weighted hip drop. So instead of unweighted drop and then a weighted drop, you're doing your weighted drop, your hip on the down with the step, and then you're doing another drop. Using your obliques. I also use my leg a little bit. So you're gonna step right, and then use this knee to lift, so I'm straightening a little bit, and then I'm going back down to where I started. Step right away on the 1. 1E and. 2E and. 1E and. 2E and. 1E and. 2. Fall over. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1E and, 2E and, 1E and. Just like with the other shimmy, try to get your opposite foot up immediately upon stepping, like on the right, get your left foot up. So on the 1, if you're stepping right, left foot is off the ground. 1E and, right foot up, left foot up, right foot up, left foot up, right foot up, left foot up, right foot up. Hopefully that makes sense. The reason for, in all of these, getting your feet off the ground as soon as they can be, when you get comfortable with these movements and try to speed them up, if you're used to having both feet on the ground for almost the whole time, you're gonna feel like you have to shuffle really awkwardly to keep both feet on the ground. So you wanna feel like your feet are free. Your legs can be doing whatever, and you're free to still do those hip movements. So the common variation for this shimmy, the 1E and down shimmy, is called the over-shimmy. So what you're gonna do, instead of just sending your hips down right in place, is you're gonna push your hip out and over a little bit. So it involves your hip slide muscles, which are obliques, and the other deeper abdominal muscles like transverse abdominis. So instead of just coming straight down, I'm gonna try to push my hip out a little bit. 1E and, 2E and, 1E and, 2E and. Da 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 da. So hopefully you could see a little bit of like out and over movement. That is called the over shimmy. So just like with the Hagallah and adding the twist, you can simplify the shimmy. Instead of stepping 1E and, or sorry, instead of dropping your hips, 1E and, just do 1, 2, 1, 2, and practice that slide. Get a little slide in there. So not just down, but down and over a little bit. So you're squeezing some extra on the opposite side. 1, 2, 1, 2, as opposed to 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So hip on the down with a little slide added is a good drill for that. Okay, I think that's everything. Hagallah, samiha, and over shimmy. These are challenging moves. Bravo for you if you're working on them. They're beautiful. All of the 3/4 shimmies are like, what? So pretty, so cool. You can do lots of different variations with them and layers and cool stuff. So let me know if you did this video. Let me know if you have questions about these shimmies. Let me know if anything is unclear. And see you in the comments section on Facebook.